So it's gonna just get us. That's the only thing.
All right.
Hi guys.
Hey.
Hey, what's up? What's up, everyone? This is Jason and Aaron. We're here with Alexa Carlin.
Yay.
I think maybe should I put it there?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
That works better.
Hold on, guys.
Hold tight.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, that would work better.
Still get you. Howdy. We'll be starting up in a minute. Just 1 second.
Okay.
Make sure you're in it.
So this is Jason and Aaron with Vibration Upgrade. And we're here with Alexa Carlin, who is a motivational speaker. She has her own Periscope channel at Alexa Rose Carlin.
Yeah.
And she does a morning motivational talk every morning, which is awesome. I watch it every morning.
Is that 8, right?
8 a.m.
8 a.m.
Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then you also have the Good Vibe Tribe.
The Good Vibe Tribe.
You're following the Good Vibe Tribe.
Spreading good vibes across the world.
Yeah. So how did you come up with Good Vibe Tribe?
That actually was an organic my following kind of created it. We were talking about the Periscope family and how we're all positive and really have a mission to better ourselves. And we're like, we need to come up with a hashtag. And we just started saying different names. And I don't remember like how it all evolved really, but it was definitely an organic creation of based on my following. And we just were like, let's coin ourselves the Good Vibe Tribe. I was like, perfect.
Well, it has a good melody to it. And
Yeah.
a good jingle. Like you want to say it all the time.
Yeah, well, because like a tribe, I've always pictured my following as a tribe, even before Periscope, because it's a group of like-minded individuals that are a community of support for one another. And then Good Vibe just came in. And actually, when I was sick, which we'll talk about later, but when I was in the hospital, my best friend and my sister actually created a Facebook page to get prayers. And it was called Good Vibes for Alexa. Oh. So it's really weird how the Good Vibe Tribe now is a part of my journey.
Yeah, no, that's how I actually stumbled upon you on Periscope. Because our company's name is Vibration Upgrade, and I said Good Vibe Tribe and started watching you. And I love your motivational rants you go on every morning. I watch it on the way to work, and it pumps me up.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm really glad.
Well, and anything with passion behind it, people can tell, and people can, feel the vibes from your passion behind what you're doing. Because anyone who's phoning, you can pick up on that in a second,
And if you think about it too, that's really like your vibration is really where it comes from. So if you're thinking about negative thoughts all the time in the past and dwelling on that, it lowers your vibration and you don't have a good life experience whatsoever.
Definitely.
So a lot of your, morning motivational, talks you go on Periscope, you're focusing on, getting rid of the negative thought pattern, right? Mm-hmm. And focusing on what brings you joy and happiness in your life. And it really brings the whole world alive right in front of you.
Yeah, because energy is contagious.
Right.
And you don't have to be in person to feel that energy. And that's the beauty of social media. If you are surrounded by negative circumstances in your life, you can go onto my Periscope channel and know that you'll get my energy and feed off of it. And that's really why I always bring my best self, because I know people need it. I need it even, knowing that when I go on, I'll be filled with positive people and surrounded by positivity and the Good Vibe Tribe. It helps me as well.
Oh yeah.
So
good.
So were you always this positive and always had this mindset, or did something happen where, it kind of shook you one day and you said, hey, I got to change the way I think?
Well, to be honest, I've always been like this.
Yeah.
I was actually coined most inspirational person in high school. And when they did senior gag awards and they did a skit making fun of people in a fun way, of course, I was student body president. So they would go up, when someone was acting as me, they would go up and pretend they were president and be like, first, I just have to read an inspirational quote to you guys. And so I've always been there. But yeah, there was a major turning point in my life that got me onto the path of holistic wellness and really understanding the true power of our thoughts. And that happened in January 2013 when I was a senior at the University of Florida. and I was induced into a medical coma for 6 days and in the ICU for 10.
Oh, wow.
My body went into septic shock. So what sepsis is blood poisoning. You know, bacteria got into my bloodstream. I was just this like happy-go-lucky senior, and my whole life changed from that. They gave me a 1% chance of living and told my mom, call your family, she has 24 hours to live. So my mom actually ended up being there with me. I went to University of Florida. I'm from South Florida. And I was actually planning to have a celebration for Hello Perfect, my nonprofit, on that Saturday. And I was just getting so sick the week leading up to this day. And I was like, I want you to come. I want you to celebrate with me. It's my mom. My mom was like, no, it's a college party. You don't want me there. And I was like, no, I really want you there. And so she drove up. And so I was having like flu-like symptoms, and all my friends were like, oh, it's just the flu, it's just the flu. Even though I got the flu shot, which I'll never get the flu shot again, never. So then I was just so sick a couple hours before the party was about to start. And my mom like asked me how I was feeling, and I started to have major pain in my chest, and she could see my heart beating out of my neck. And she's like, we're going to the hospital. Went into the emergency room, and within seconds they took me in because my blood pressure was dropping so rapidly. Oh. And they started doing all these tests on me, taking me to all different rooms, x-rays, CAT scans, MRIs, and I was severely dehydrated, and they were pumping me with tons of fluid. And they ended up flooding my lungs, and I got severe pneumonia as well. My body started swelling up, and then they told my mom, we have to put her in a coma or else, you know, she's gonna die. So I remember they put a mask on my face, and I couldn't breathe with the mask on. So when I tried pulling it off, I remember I couldn't breathe with it off, and that's when I knew something really was wrong. And then I remember someone saying, Alexa, do you want to be put into a coma? And I was in just so much pain. They couldn't give me any pain meds because my blood pressure was so low.
Any pain meds?
Yeah, because my blood pressure was so low, they couldn't. And I was like, yes, you know, it was the worst chest pain. Like I could, you know, I can't even describe it. And then I was in a coma for 6 days.
The lungs flooded because of the sepsis or because of something the doctors were
Because
doing?
they were flooding my lungs with fluid because I was severely dehydrated. But my body was already going into septic shock. So it was like severe pneumonia plus sepsis, which the pneumonia could have made it worse, you know, because you can get sepsis from pneumonia. So it's really, the scary thing is they never found out what caused it all.
Yeah, I was about to ask, like,
Yeah.
where did that, and what were you doing right before that happened? Do you remember?
Well, we were getting ready for this party. We were going to celebrate for Hello Perfect.
But nothing before that that was stressful, emotional?
Oh, yeah. So there's a whole other story to that. So that happened in January. September, it was my sister's 16th birthday party. And I was like having the time of my life in college because it was fall semester, senior year. I just got back from living in New York City, interning at Fashion Week and everything. And I was falling in love for the first time. I was living with my 3 best friends. It was amazing. And I remember looking at myself in my mirror, and I tell this story a lot, but I was looking at myself in my mirror and I said, my life is too perfect. Something is going to go wrong. A week later, I drove home for my sister's 16th birthday party. My parents threw a beautiful party for her and surprised her with a brand new car.
Oh my God.
I thought she was like on top of the world. And then I was going to drive back up to go back to class. And my sister had extra tickets to see Florence and the Machine. So like, who's not going to skip class for Florence and the Machine? So I decided like, I could skip those classes. And I stayed for a couple more days. The day before the concert, my mom got a phone call from my sister's high school, and they found a suicide letter. And my little sister was going to commit suicide.
Oh my God.
And she was dealing with anorexia. She was cutting all of her wrists. And if you know about that, if you know about like people that are cutting and everything, they're very secretive. They wear bracelets. You can't tell.
So you had no idea?
We knew there was some problems with her diet and food, but we were like handling it together. I mean,
Did she have sadness and depression or anxiety?
Yeah, she had she was going through depression, but in a way that she was just super mean to all of us. You know, she was taking it out in different ways. But yeah, she went through bullying also from time she was in elementary school on, which definitely led to low self-esteem, and that low self-esteem transferred to her cutting and then almost committing suicide. She's much better now. She's at a freshman in college.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm very grateful she's here. But that really made my life go in a complete downward spiral. I had to go back up to college because I had to finish, and I was so scared because I was away from her and I was away from my family. I was so scared something was going to happen. And I started to blame myself for what had happened, because the semester before that, I was living in London. So I couldn't really talk to my family that much. And I felt like that was when she needed me and I wasn't there for her. So I started to blame myself, and I wanted to feel the pain that she was feeling. Like I wanted it. And so when you want something, what does life hand you? Right. So life began to give me that pain. My boyfriend began mentally abusing me. My social life completely ended because I stopped going out.
You stopped going out because you were
I was just letting, I was letting the fear, the depression, and all of that control my life.
What year was this?
This was 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was fall semester senior year at University of Florida. And I wanted to feel hurt. Like now looking back, like I believe I caused that. I really do. And so then it went on for months until New Year's rolled around, and then New Year's like, oh, this is a fresh start. So I said, okay, this is gonna be a fresh start. I broke up with my boyfriend and I said it, but saying it and truly believing it are two completely different things.
Right.
So I was still living in that sad space, and January 26, 2013 is when I was induced into the coma.
Have you ever heard of Louise Hay?
Yeah.
Oh, did you ever look up in her book, like sepsis or blood issues or anything? We have that book. I'm curious to look it up. But she talks about how your emotions are linked with every physical disease. And even Abraham Hicks, you've ever heard of her? She talks about the law of attraction.
Yeah.
She talks about illness too, and how every illness is an emotion leading up to it, and if you have that emotion long enough, it's going to eventually manifest into the physical. So she always says, what emotion were you feeling, or do you feel when you're in that sickness? And people, like you were saying, I felt guilt, or I felt like I wanted to feel her pain, and she says, well, that is the vibration you had been carrying to, eventually lead into that physical manifestation.
Yeah, I definitely believe that. Like now, out of that whole space, that darkness, I truly believe that my mind almost killed me, and it also saved my life, because when I was in the coma and in the ICU, I remember all of the visions I had. And when I was in the coma, I remember picturing this beautiful green grass, and this green does not exist in this reality. And there was beautiful red mountains in the back, and I was running, but I wasn't in a body. I was this beautiful ball of light running with the wind. And I was at peace, but the question that kept on coming up was, did I live? And it wasn't matter if I was alive in the hospital or not, but it was, did I live my life when I had the opportunity to live my life?
And that was presenting itself to you in this dream?
Because I was living in my apartment, not going out, letting myself be in darkness and depression. And then here I am in the beautiful nature, and it was, did I live? And I wasn't living. I was waiting until I graduated from college in order to live my life in New York City, because that was my plan. It's like, oh, I'll just do that in New York City. I'll just do that in New York City. Then
a lot of people do that too. They hunker down and project in the future. Well, I'll start living my life in the future once I have the car, or once I have the job, or once I have the money, or once I have graduated college. And they don't start living in the present and in the now. And that's all there is.
Yeah. That is, the past does not exist. The future does not exist. All that exists is right now.
So start living now.
Yes,
not in the
right
future,
now.
Right now.
Right. That's really all that exists. All that exists is now.
I always say, if you're thinking about the past, you're depressed. If you're thinking about the future, you're anxious. But if you're living in the present, you're at peace.
Right.
And it's really true.
How amazing. I love the statement where you were saying, my mind saved me, but also hurt me and destroyed me. So everyone that's listening, there's a camera, I'm like, so many things to look at. your mind can do the full spectrum of things, the best and the worst. So it's really up to us to control our thoughts, control our actions, control, how we're thinking, because we're manifesting these actions, these illnesses, we're manifesting every single second of every day, and people don't understand how much they are in control of their life.
Mm-hmm.
They are the manifester.
And so when I was in the coma, it was really, so when I woke up, it kind of blurs together for me, but when I woke up out of the coma, I had a mask on my face, a tube down my throat, and I was hooked up to 9 different bags of antibiotics. So I couldn't move, breathe, or speak on my own. I couldn't even have a glass of water, but I had my mind. And I remember picturing my mind to be this pure, healthy pink, and the rest of my body was black and rotting away. And it was like sepsis was taking over and killing all of my organs, and it was all black. And so I was just laying there. So all I had was my mind, and I would push down this healthy pink color to the rest of my body. I would push it with every ounce of energy I had left until I healed myself and I was discharged from the hospital.
So you had your mind, so you felt very, very conscious during that whole coma experience, like you felt awake and conscious, but you just couldn't control and move your body.
So, well, I was in the coma for 6 days, in the ICU for 10. So I was still very on the verge of, you didn't know what happened, even when I woke up out of the coma. So it was during that time that I was awake in the ICU.
Okay.
But I just couldn't do anything.
You couldn't move anything.
Couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Like I had a mask. I couldn't even, my mouth was like this because I had a tube down my throat. And then the needle was in my neck. And if it's in your neck, it's really serious.
So then after that, did you immediately change your thinking after you got out of the coma and, rehabilitated yourself?
So, yeah, I started to journal a lot, and I was just so grateful for life. And I realized, like, I survived for a reason. I mean, 1 in 3 people die from sepsis. Like, why was I the 1%?
Mm-hmm.
And it was very, I felt a tremendous amount of gratitude in the beginning. Also because I had people from all over the world praying for me, sending me gifts, giving me attention. I woke up and there was thousands of people that liked this Good Vibes for Alexa Facebook page. Mark Cuban shared it on his Facebook page. Yeah, so because I met him like a couple of months before that. But it was a lot of attention, right? And then I was able to graduate on time in May because I got out of the hospital in February. Able to graduate in time. A week later, moved to New York City to work at InStyle magazine because it was my dream to work in fashion. I was still growing Hello Perfect as a blog at the time. And I moved alone, and I started to get sick again, to the point where in August, I had to go in for a rush colonoscopy, and I had another deadly bacteria going in my body.
It wasn't as bad as the other one.
It could have been. Oh. It could have gotten that bad. So after that, I was diagnosed with the autoimmune disease because all of the antibiotics while I was in the coma saved my life, but it also destroys all your good gut flora. Right. And then I'll tell you that I was taking probiotics, but it wasn't enough. And I had nothing to fight off anything. So I had a compromised immune system and tons of digestive issues. And living in New York City isn't the best place for a compromised immune system. I was sick every single day. I couldn't even go outside my apartment, especially with the polar vortex. I was there during that time. So it was really hard. And then after that experience, I developed post-traumatic stress because I was so scared I was going to get that sick again. So all of a sudden, I'm getting put under again for this colonoscopy.
Well, what was your emotion right before the second illness? What kind of emotion did you have leading up to the second one?
Well, I knew I was sick because, your body tells you. And so I was scared, I guess. Yeah.
But you were scared about the second illness once you kind of felt the sickness, right?
Once I felt
before you had the fear about the second illness. Do you remember what emotions you had leading up to
I was kind of just like, actually, that's a good point you brought up because I was supposedly to the external world was so happy. This was my dream to move to New York City. I lived there for 2 summers before. I'm finally here permanently. I'm going to live here until for 10 years, whatever. And recently looked back in my journal. So I journal a lot because it's a way to get out your emotions. I always talk about that to my Periscope family. Got a journal. And I read this journal of the first weekend I was there. I was in Central Park, which was my all-time favorite place in New York City. And it was a journal saying, why am I not happy? I should be happy, but I'm not. And so I remember reading that not too long ago. And so I guess that was the emotion. Like I was fighting. Like I thought this is what I wanted since I was 10 years old, because it was my dream to move to New York City since I was 10. And then I'm here and it's not.
It doesn't feel like the dream you thought it would.
It doesn't. And it's because of what happened, because like my life would have been completely different. And so that's when I started to say, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? And I started to become more of a victim. And I also remember that I was getting, after the second illness, I was so sick again. But after, like, for example, after a death, right? Or after an illness, once it like goes on for a week or 2 weeks, everyone around you goes on with their own life, but you're still stuck with that illness or that feeling. So even though people couldn't see my illness, their scars were internal.
Yeah.
And so nobody knew. I mean, I was in New York City and I was becoming more of the victim, and I wanted people to feel bad for me because I was still in that dark spot, so sick, lost so much weight again. But my best friends that were there, they were still going on with their life and they couldn't be in that spot with me anymore. And so I felt like I was alone and I was afraid, and I didn't see a way out. It was complete darkness for me.
Well, I wanted to clarify. You felt like it wasn't the dream because it wasn't, you got what you wanted, but it wasn't, you weren't as happy as you thought you would be, or you didn't get exactly what you wanted.
I got exactly what I wanted. I accomplished that dream, but it wasn't, I wasn't the same person anymore.
Yeah.
I used to be this person that like wanted to wear the best clothes and walk through the streets of New York City and go out at night and party. And I was that person. But after what happened to me, I realized like
there's more to life.
Yeah. And when I was working at this magazine, I was like, this is so not meaningful. Like, why does it matter what's on trend? There's so much more meaningful things to be doing. And I just felt like I wasn't living the life that I should be living after, you know, God hit me with like a tragedy.
He's like, wake up.
Exactly.
Spiritual awakening, right? Wake up.
Like so then I started, the only way I was able to get out of my post-traumatic stress, I had to move home in order to get support from my family and get out of New York City. I couldn't get healthy there. There was just so many germs, the cold weather. But I continued to say why this happened to me. And I've talked about this before, but it's very powerful. And I was like, the only way that I can overcome this is to not be the victim anymore. So I stopped asking myself, why did this happen to me? And I began asking myself, why did this happen for me?
Exactly.
And it turns the whole world
changed
upside down.
Everything.
And
it's funny because a lot of people live for, you know, possessions, and once I have money and once I get, you know, a TV or a house or this car or that car, that's going to bring me joy. And possessions don't really bring you joy. It does up until the point where you get that possession, but it's fleeting, right? And then you just move on to the next thing. What really brings you joy is every day helping people and talking with people and just being happy, and just connection brings more joy than possessions, I think.
Yeah, living a life of meaning.
Right.
Definitely.
And what's fascinating about the body is when you're not aligned with your true self, your true passion, you know, your true inner spirit, you know, the things that really drive you and make you feel excited about being here and your role on earth. When you're aligned with that purpose, you're vibrating at a really high vibration and you're really balanced. But as soon as we veer off a little bit from what really resonates with who we are, then our bodies become very out of balance because we're not vibrating to our true self. And Bashar is a channeler we listen to. He talks about that all the time. He goes, follow your passion at every second of every day. In that moment, whatever brings you the most excitement in that moment, if you can do it, you know, do that. You know, obviously some things are irrational in the moment, but generally speaking, that passion is what's aligned with you and keeps you balanced. And, you know, being sick, I hear your story, and then you're saying, oh, I thought this was my dream, and then it didn't feel right, and then I got sick again. And I felt like that was your body saying, there's something else that is more of your vibration that you're not utilizing right now. You know, I mean, when I hear you talk, you love this positive thinking and all this happy stuff. And, you know, that's what makes you happy. And I think your body was saying, like, come on, we're here. This is more like you know, and not saying fashion is bad. And some people, you know, love that and will vibrate to that. But your body was like, oh, there's something else that I'm wanting to do more. And I want to lead, you know, you to that, because that was really resonating with your heart and your soul. Yeah. You know? And I remember, like, okay, so one of the people that were following my journey, they knew me before from an internship. After I got out of the hospital, they sent me a book to read, and it was by Brendan Bouchard, and it was talking about becoming an expert, okay? And it was talking, he had a near-death experience where he had 3 questions come up, and these questions led him to live a life of meaning. And he teaches people all over the world now how to become expert in what you love and how to speak your truth. And it was a lot about, like, public speaking. And so there was this seed after reading this book that was planted in my mind, thinking, like, I need to share my story. Like, this happened for a reason. I need to share my story with the world. And I was in my little apartment in New York City, and I just wanted to be on stage. I remember, like, just so badly. So I would create these videos on YouTube just talking to myself. now I'm Periscope. I can talk to people. Periscope. But I was just talking to myself. And some I posted, some I didn't. Some I was just like literally like spoken word and just letting it all come out. A lot of times I would end up hysterical crying, but it was a way for me to release all this tension and all of this. I wanted to be doing something differently. I just didn't know how to make that happen. Yeah. Yeah.
So how I got on the public speaking journey is I remember saying, okay, I want to speak. How can I speak if nobody really knows who I am? Like, no one's going to ask me to speak at their event. So I was like, okay, well, I have to make it happen for myself. I'll create my own event. So that's when I started creating events for Hello Perfect. And I was a speaker, and then I had other speakers, and that's how I started. And then once people started seeing me, they asked me to speak at their events. And for the past year, I've been doing a lot of speaking, all pro bono, just to get practice and get my message across and raise money for my nonprofit. And I've done all in South Florida except the one. I was at a yoga retreat in Puerto Rico, which was really amazing. Oh, cool. And now I'm doing it full time, and I just got my first paid speaking gig, which was last weekend. And now I just signed on with an agent who recruited me. Cool. So it's amazing how when you are aligned with your truth, things happen so easily. And when it's just not happening, you know there's something wrong. Yeah.
And even, you know, sometimes it's not that it's not happening, but the universe wants you to have practice first before you actually, you know, start speaking live in front of thousands of people. Yeah. So it takes practice and practice and practice and drive to, you know, you're not going to start as soon as you start a speaking engagement with thousands of people like listening to you. You know, you build that grassroots, really.
Perseverance. And today's morning motivation was, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start in order to become great.
Right. And not be scared, right?
Right. And it's okay if you're a little scared. It's just about knowing that your vision, your dream is more important than the fear. And that's what helped me also overcome post-traumatic stress. Like, I could have lived in that space for a long time. I couldn't see a way out, but I knew I wasn't going to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish in my life living in that darkness. So that was more important to me than these feelings.
Yeah. And not listening to the people that when you tell them what you're doing and they say, oh, that's a stupid idea. Why are you doing that? No, why don't you go get a real job? You can't listen to those negative people, and you kind of have to block those negative people out of your life, just like you block people on Periscope. Yeah. So if someone's being negative on your Periscope channel, I've seen you do it a couple times. We've done it a couple times where someone's like commenting some rude, something about a fleshlight one time where she was making fun of her necklace. So we just block that person. And you can do the same in your real life. If someone's being negative or condescending, just, you know, remove yourself from the situation. Don't don't use your ego and defend yourself. Just leave and don't think about it.
Yeah, and sometimes it's people in your family that are rude and negative, and you can't really remove yourself because they're your family. And you have to understand that by being yourself and staying true to who you are, they'll eventually see it. And just keep on doing what you do best. And you're going to have to be around them sometimes, but you don't have to listen to what they're saying.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right, but if even if a family member is being negative and bringing you down, sometimes you got to make the harder choice and remove yourself for a little bit from that person,
or just create
if it's
boundaries,
or
even just creating boundaries. Sometimes I have to do that with my dad.
Yeah.
But I love your story, because when I hear you talk about the bad events or the good events, Abraham Hicks talks about it, and she calls it contrast. She's like, contrast, which is something that appears to be negative versus something that appears to be positive. If you don't know what you don't like, or if you get clarity around what you don't like, it helps you get more clarity around what you do like, and vice versa. So when I hear about your story with that fashion gig, like sometimes you wouldn't have even realized that you didn't like it until you were right in it. And so your body was saying, okay, let's put you in it. And so you can kind of get clarity around what you don't like even more, because
then I would have been thinking about that and pursuing that for 5+ years until I actually did it, and then realized like, oh man, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Did you ever think that would have occurred? Like you would have got to that point and then be like, man, I don't even enjoy this.
No, I mean, well, I always knew I wanted to own my own company, not so much work in a magazine, but I thought I was going to start this or own this company that was in the fashion industry, kind of empowering people to wear what makes them feel confident. And we still kind of do that, but my mission has totally changed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so for people watching, because I know people always ask me, well, how can you always control your emotions if something is really bad, or if they're feeling really sick, or if they're stuck in a situation that they feel like they can't get out of? What would you tell them the best way to control your emotions and stay positive through these situations that look awful?
I would, there's two things. One is meditate and spend time with yourself. I know it sounds scary for some people to spend time by themselves, but it really opens you up to who you are and who you want to be. And meditation, I would start with guided meditation, so you get those thoughts out. Because if you're just sitting in silence, you're going to have all these thoughts come up, and then it doesn't really help. So guided meditations help you focus on whatever they're doing. Like I teach some guided meditations, and it's on the power of positive thinking. And I lead you to healing your body with your thoughts, just like I did in the coma. And by doing guided meditations, you get out of this meditation, you feel better. It's like so much better, because for those 10, 15, 30 minutes, whenever you want to do it, you are in this space of peace. And you understand that you can always have that. You always have that to come back to. It's just the breath, really, in the present moment. Another thing is journaling. So when I would open up a blank journal and just start writing. You don't even have to know what you're writing about. You just start writing down your feelings, because it takes it from in here and puts it out there. And then when nobody has to read that, so you can be completely honest and you can be completely like yourself. Then you close the journal and it's done. Keeping it inside. Not everyone likes to talk to people about it. Like I know I didn't like to talk to a lot of people about what I was going through, especially because people were hearing it for over a year and they were sick of hearing my problems. So I started journaling more and more and more, and it helped me because it let me release all of that. And then you realize when you're reading it back that you start to realize who you are and what you want in life by just it's a therapeutic journaling.
Once you verbalize something or even write it down, it does release that emotion from you. It feels like you can move on. It's a good point.
Yeah.
And I also like telling people that you can always choose the better emotion or a better thought. Like even if it's something silly, like if you're trying to get over a breakup, for example, it's so, you're just always sad, or, you're just thinking about it. But in that moment, try to find one thought that is different. Think about, I'm excited to go with my mom shopping. get practice in just trying to find little thoughts that are distracting or different. And again, Abraham Hicks talks about that a lot. She says, just always shoot for the better emotion, the better thought, even if it's something silly. Like, oh, I can't wait to go rollerblading or swimming. Like, just keep distracting your thoughts. And before you know it, you get better. And you get better at controlling your thoughts and not letting them go down a negative emotion path, you know?
I always say you can choose to be happy or you can choose to be sad. The amount of work is the same.
Yeah.
Right.
It really is. It's the same. So, it's all about perspective. And when you change your perspective, you could change your life. And I actually just started a game on Periscope that you guys should definitely tune in. And it's about teaching your mind to think differently and see different things. So, for example, I don't know, give me a random object or anything really. A book. Okay. Well, that one's easy.
A pillow.
Okay, a pillow. So, no matter how hard your life is, you can always rest your head on a pillow and dream a beautiful dream. You know, people just see a pillow. So it's just about changing perspective. Like my Periscope, like family, they'll just give me random things. Like they gave me the hardest ones, and they're great at it too. And like everyone has a different perception of things, and it helps you see life through people's different eyes, and that's what helps you see life through a different perspective and change your reality. Because if you think about it, every single one of us right now, there's 16 people watching, and then us 3. We're all living a different reality right now because you're perceiving this conversation differently than I'm perceiving it, and they're perceiving it. Maybe one thing I said really resonated with them, and now they're thinking about that in their own life.
Right.
But we're all living a different reality, and that's why your perspective creates your reality. So if you want a different life, just change your perspective.
Absolutely. And I love telling people too how just look at every experience as your body's way of getting you back on path, or getting you realigned with your passion, or getting you to have some awakening around something. There's always a reason. Like your body is very enlightened and very connected to keeping you on your soul's path. And when you get sick or something goes wrong, I always wake up and say, okay, what's that trying to show me today? I mean, again, perspective, like you're saying, but understanding that your body or life isn't trying to punish you or hurt you. There isn't some horrible thing happening to you. There is a purpose behind why your body will present things, or why I don't want to say universe, but we are the universe. We're presenting these things to ourselves to help our own path. So it's kind of fun to figure it out and be like, why is this happening today?
Yeah. We are the universe. The universe is inside of us.
Yeah, exactly. So we're all part of that.
We're all connected. Did you have something that kind of a similar story like Alexa's, where you're off the path and it knocked you back on?
Well, I got pneumonia really bad, and it turned into empyema, which is like a hard pus around the lung, and you die from that. So I would technically be supposed to die too. I have a big scar about that big, like right here on my left lung. But I wasn't spiritual at that point yet. I was still positive and happy. But again, when you're not seeing the eyes or seeing life through, a certain viewpoint, it's easy to feel insecure or compare yourself to other people. So, as a young kid, you're just kind of like, oh, well, she's better than that. So you're always kind of comparing. But when you kind of realize we're all part of the same energy, because we all are the universe, we're all these powerful, wonderful, divine beings, and we're all connected and we're all linked, and anything you do is affecting me, anything we do is affecting you and the rest of the world. We're all so linked, my story. So after my story, I'm sick. I had to drop out of physical therapy school. But then when I was healing from this surgery, I was like, I don't really like physical therapy. I was like, I mean, nothing wrong with physical therapy, but I just wasn't feeling like excited about it. I was like, why am I doing this? I don't really feel like excited at all about this, so it got me to reevaluate the things that excite me. And I realized that maybe it was my dad pushing me. But then someone guided me to a chiropractor because I was feeling dizzy and had some symptoms. And the chiropractor was like, you should be a chiropractor. Do that. And I'm like, and then of course I'm insecure at first, thinking, well, I don't know if I can do that. Like, am I smart enough? Can I get through it? And then of course I get there. And again, awakening, you realize what you're passionate about, energy work and the universe and a law of attraction. So it just kind of guides you to an area that is part of an area that vibrates more with your passion and your soul and stuff. So that's just in a nutshell.
Yeah, well, I definitely believe that everyone that comes into your life comes in for a reason.
Yeah.
And you never know what effect they can make on your life or what seed they can plant to take you to a different path towards your purpose.
Oh, absolutely. And even with your positive thinking and your morning periscopes and all your speaking, you're affecting more people than just who's right in front of you or who's listening, because you're emitting a vibration that's being sent to the whole earth, and it's affecting everybody on some level, you know, like energetically. Mm-hmm. So if we all put out positive vibrations, we could help shift the overall vibration of the planet, which will help others heal, balance, see more light within themselves. Like, you know, that's that whole concept of being linked and connected. You know, they always say we're all connected. People say it, but I don't know if they really understand what that means, you know. Yeah. So your positivity, and Carlin, another channeler we listen to, he talks about how you could be in your house not talking to anybody and still affecting everybody if you're staying positive and full of love and vibrating at a high level. So for me, if I'm like couch potato one day, I'm like, I can still help the world if I just stay really positive today. My vibration is going out there. But for real, I mean, I really believe we could still affect, you know, and that's why when, you know, if you're in a sad mood or whatnot, I'll try to snap, or if I'm in a sad mood, I try to snap myself out of it, because I'm like, oh, I don't want to send that vibration out to the world today, because it really is affecting everybody, you know, on some level. They might not know it's coming directly from you, but, you know, energetically, we're all feeling that, you know? Yep. So, sorry, I got on the rant.
So you guys want to do some live Q&A on Periscope?
Yeah, sure.
It's
cool. Well, thanks for tuning in.
12:25.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Follow Alexa. Where can they connect with you at?
Best place.
Twitter, Alexa Rose Carlin, Instagram, Alexa Rose Carlin, or my website is alexacarlin.com. And I have blogs up there. My book is up there. So we didn't talk about my health journey, but real quick, I could talk about it. It goes in with like how life just throws you different things. And so after I moved home, I was still so sick because I, you know, just nothing was working. And I went to all these different doctors, and every doctor just tried prescribing more medicine and more medicine and more medicine. And finally I was so fed up, and I said, I'm going to heal myself through nutrition and the mind. And so I went completely vegan, started juicing every single day, really focused on my thoughts. And within a couple months, I healed my body. So I wrote down all the recipes that I created to help heal me that are all vegan and gluten-free in a cookbook called The Simple Gluten-Free Vegan Cookbook.
Cool.
It's on Amazon, but you can get it on alexacarlin.com. And my story's in there. And also all the pictures are mine too. And on every single recipe page is also a quote, because it's not just what you feed your body, but it's also what you feed your mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Even his mom has healed like a whole bunch of stuff in the last like month. She had a lesion in her breast. She had thyroid disease her whole life. She had thalassemia, which she was born with. What else did she heal? She had a tooth that they wanted to pull.
Oh my God.
She healed all of that. What else? She healed like a bunch of stuff. She had a lesion in her lung, which is now like gone down in size. And her, you know, pulmonologist was like, this has never happened. We're like, we don't know how this lesion has gone down a centimeter. They're like, we've never seen this. And mind you, they've seen lots of people with lesions in the lung, and they're like, well, I don't get it. And Carla is smiling. She's like, well, and that again, it was her positive thinking, seeing her body as being healed, visualizing, you know, her lung or whatever issue is, visualizing it perfect and balanced and healthy, and not getting sucked into fear, because the doctors will scare you. You're going to have this forever. This is, you know, you're going to die, you know, and it's fearful. So if we get sucked into fear, that's what you're telling yourselves. You're telling yourselves like, oh, I'm going to die. Oh, we're really sick. You're going to be sick forever. I mean, you're giving that message to yourselves, you know, but if you tell yourselves, no, we're balancing, this is what it looks like to be healthy, and you visualize, they're now proving that visualization is actually being proven to change the cell in your body. They can
I definitely believe
that now. And so the lesion is completely gone in her breast, and the lesion has gone down in her lung. Her thyroid disease completely gone, which she's had forever. The thalassemia completely gone, which she was born with, and her tooth completely healed. And they were wanting to pull it. And that was all within the last like few months. And we're like, you're a healing machine, Carla.
Yeah.
So the last thing she's working on now is she's got some some other lung stuff, like COPD type stuff. So she's working on that, but she's not even scared. She's like, I'm not even worried about it. She's like, I'm going to heal it.
Awesome.
So that's her last
That's a good way to think.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Yeah. Are there questions?
All right, so
Can't really
let's
read them.
we're gonna tune out. We're gonna do a couple live Q&As on our Periscopes.
Okay.
Thanks everyone
You
for
don't want to
watching.
keep it
Follow
live for the
Alexa
questions?
Rose Carlin on Periscope, and follow us at Vibration Upgrade on Periscope, and then our YouTube channel. You can find it on our website,
Our Periscope is called,
vibrationupgrade.com.
our Periscope is called Ascension Coaching.
That's our name, babe. So thanks, guys.
Thank you.
You told me.